Hello everyone, welcome back to the King of Camo channel. Have you ever wanted to create your own camo pattern? Well, we're going to take you through the entire process. From designing the camo pattern on the computer, to cutting the stencils, to selecting the right color paints. And then you'll want to follow along till the end because we're going to paint it on a badass shotgun. When I'm creating a new camo pattern, it all begins here in my office. So on the screen I've pulled up 3 different camo patterns that I want to use as references for my new pattern. We have Swedish M90, multicam, and traditional woodland. I really like the shapes of the Swedish M90, kind of the more geometric type style shapes. And then I really like the shading that's done in multicam, how it kind of fades from tan to brown and light green to green. So I want to implement that in the new camo pattern. And I also like the size of the shapes in traditional woodland. So that's what we're going to do here. Now on the next page I've kind of got my reference shapes, and I'm going to use these when I'm creating my new pattern to kind of remember what I want to achieve. Down below here I've already created my first stencil for what I want it to look like. So you'll see here it's got kind of these fingers and not so much jagged edges, but it does have somewhat more of a geometric shape. And I'm going to create a multitude of these in different sizes and with different angles so that they all don't look the same. And then we'll replicate them and create a whole page of stencils that we can send to our stencil cutter to cut the stencils so that we can get to painting. Now you can create your own stencils in a variety of ways. I'm currently using Illustrator to create all this artwork, but you can use Microsoft Paint, Corel Draw. There's a multitude of programs out there. You also can do it in a much more crude fashion, kind of the way that I started making stencils before I discovered vinyl cutters, was just the good old-fashioned painter's tape and X-Acto knife. You can layer a bunch of pieces of tape together and then manually cut your shapes, and that works just as well. For us though, because we are going to put it in the oven, the Avery Dennison vinyl that we like to use is heatable and it doesn't leave any glue on your firearm, whereas the painter's tape may. So we try to avoid using painter's tape when we can and try to use the vinyl. All right, all done. We have our camo pattern here. I have a bunch of different shapes that I created here on the screen. This one in particular, our cameraman noted looked like a doggy. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna send it to the vinyl cutter and we're gonna cut this out so that we can start painting. We finished cutting our camo stencils and we have this Stevens 301 single shot break action 12 gauge that we're going to be painting. We've chosen 6 colors for it, mixed up the first color. What we're going to do here is we're going to have 3 main colors, but the other 3 colors are going to be shader colors. So let's get started. Now just a couple of quick tips here. If you're spraying a part, you want to make sure that you're laying it on nice and wet, especially since this is going to be the base coat. As you can see from the sheen from the light, that I'm putting it on nice and wet. Now you want to make sure that you don't overspray to get runs, but you do want it to be wet enough so that you have a nice base coat. The other thing that I would recommend is that you stay equidistant from the part as you move up and down. Alright guys, we got the gun out of the oven. We have painted it tactical desert brown and shaded it with medium coyote. And now it's time to put the stencils on. So what we're going to do first is put the small to medium size stencils on and apply them to about 30 to 50% of the gun. So let's do that now. As I'm laying stencils, what I like to do is put the stencil on the X-Acto knife, put it where I want it, and then press down with my glove. All right, we are done with the first round of stencils. We are going to apply some combat green And then we're going to add some Ranger green highlights. And then after that, we're gonna put the larger stencils on and continue on the process. So follow along. Okay, I've pulled everything out of the oven, and previously I mentioned that I was going to paint it combat green and highlight it with Ranger green. I did paint it with combat green, but I decided to switch it up a little bit, and I used rotting flesh green to highlight it because I thought it would pop a little better. So now the next step is to add the bigger stencils, and then we're going to go on to paint it Parker and highlight it with Tombstone Gray. So let's do that now. While I'm doing that, I want to take a quick second to thank Sovereign Ammo, one of our great supporters on the channel. They manufacture match-grade ammunition available in a multitude of calibers. We'll link their website in the description below so you can make a custom order. All done stenciling, we're going to head over to the paint booth and paint the gun Parker. After that, we'll do some highlights with the Tombstone Gray. Here we go. The gun is all painted up and it's finished curing in the oven, so we're going to remove it, take all the stencils off, and hand it over to Billy for reassembly. All right, well, here we are at the end of the video, and we have our Stevens 301 custom painted in our very own custom camo pattern that we created here at the shop. Now, we had a bit of a hard time trying to figure out what we should call this camo pattern. Ryan wanted to call it Shatterpoint. Our cameraman wanted to call it Doggy Cam. But Billy and I came up with Bam Cam, which I think is more fitting. Bam Cam. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think we should call it. We're gonna have this camo pattern available for paint if you wanna send a gun in. So be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, everyone, for watching and tuning in to our channel. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that little bell notification, and we have a bunch more videos right here for you to watch.